Family, thank you all for logging in this evening. Do me a big favor as you're coming into the room. We want you to tag and share this live. Very important live tonight. Matters that are critical to our community, to our future. Excited about this conversation. I don't always get to have these conversations publicly. The opportunity has been given for me to speak to someone tonight who is looking to be a part of the leadership of our city, to guide our city in a positive direction. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm going to bring him on in just a short moment. But in the meantime, if you're live and you're streaming this, I need you to share it. And then I need you to go to the comment section and I need you to tag 10 voters. I want you to tag 10 voters. If you're watching this and you are in the city of Patterson, I want you to go to the comment section. I want you to tag 10 voters, right? Because I like to lead by example. I will tag 10 voters, people who vote in the city of Patterson. I'm going to tag 10 voters tonight uh, so that they can see and hear about my good brother's platform tonight. So I see, some people are logging in. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to tag 10 voters. 10, just 10. All right, I got 4 so far. I'm going to tag a few more, and then we're going to get started in our conversation tonight. Let's go ahead and let's get these numbers up. Let's go ahead and let's get these numbers up. Let's get these numbers up. I see the numbers jumping. Let's go. Let's go. If you're on YouTube, let us know that you're logging in from YouTube. Also, tonight, you'll be able to, get a couple of questions in. My good brother, he is prepared tonight to answer some questions. So if you got some people there, let them know we're live. Let them know we're live. All right, guys, almost there. All right, almost there. All right, so almost got 10 people. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, 9. Gotta get one more Patterson person. All right, cool. All right, so I just tagged 10 voters. Want you to tag 10 voters, and we are going to have this conversation. Listen, I am having a really good dialogue tonight with my good brother Gilman Choudhury, who is running for council at large in the city of Patterson. There are 16 people that are working for 3 seats. 16 people that are working for 3 seats. He is one of the good people that is working to obtain one of those seats, and he's on with me tonight. Y'all, and we're gonna have this conversation and discussion. So I'm gonna bring him out. My good brother Gilman, how are you, buddy?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with everyone and especially be on your show.
Man, great to have you. I had an opportunity to hear some of the things that you were sharing, on one of your Zooms. I thought it was a very informative, just to hear your ideas. It showed that you had done your research. It showed that you have been studying. It showed that you have a heart for this. And so we'll dive into some of that tonight, and as we have this dialogue, man. But I just really want you to introduce yourself to those who may not know you. If you can give just a brief history, where you grew up, and how you have now come to be considered as someone running for council at large.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a long road for me. Just to give you a brief introduction to who I am, my name is Gilman Choudhury. I'm 16B on the ballot. I grew up here in Patterson. I came here when I was 3 months old from Bangladesh. Lived in the fourth ward for the first 13 years of my life, going to school number 13. And if anybody knows about that area around Carroll Street and whatnot, it's a very difficult area to grow up in. But it added to the value of who I am as a person.
Yeah.
From there, moved in the second ward, went to school 5, John F. Kennedy High School. My formative years living in the city of Patterson, my father was a factory worker here at the dye houses next to the Great Falls. I myself, having memories of my friends, playing in the street, doing all the things that kids and teenagers do. It really helped me develop as who I am as a person. And from John F. Kennedy High School, I went to Montclair State University, graduated with a bachelor's degree in history. And as per the deal with my parents, I would graduate from college first before I would join the United States Army. So I enlisted into the Army right after I graduated from college, did the United States Army Reserves, came back, went into grad school for 2 graduate certificates, which are pretty much like half of a master's in community development and public health, where they really focus on how to make changes directly in the area you're living in, including impoverished or hardworking locations. From there, I went on to get my MBA, a master's in business administration. And then I just got my master's level law degree, a master's in legal studies. And I'll be pursuing a doctorate in a couple months after the campaign as well. I worked for Patterson Public Schools for about 14 years in a variety of different roles. And each of those roles were very impactful to me, but also focused on helping as many parents and families as possible in the city, from providing ESL GED skills, helping families attain financial freedom, such as making sure we can help them get them situated with a bank account, provide medical care, education, job training. Deeply, the stuff that I've done in Patterson Public Schools really helped me understand the exact issues that we're dealing with. And throughout those entire experiences, it shaped me who I am today. I'm focused directly on helping individuals, helping families. The only way for the city of Patterson to get stronger is to make sure that we focus on the families, the individuals that live here. And that's pretty much what my platform and my focus has been for over 20 years.
Man, that's really amazing, and it's good to hear, how you've come basically full circle. Being educated here, serving our country. Great honor you today, for that, and then pursuing, just higher education, right? Like we need people in seats that are aware of what the issues are, have seen them firsthand, are providing solutions, are doing the work, whether they're in the seat or not.
Mhm.
Right? That's been one of the themes of this current season, and we see it, pretty much every election, right? Like someone starts to do something that they haven't been doing, and in the name of hey, here's the problem that I'm coming to solve. But I want to start off with this question, Gilman, and that is like, just in your campaigning, what are some things that has been eye opening for you, um, you know, during your campaign?
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to meet a, a bunch of amazing individuals, hardworking families, and people that live here in the city. And I'm always, taken aback by the strength I see in individuals' eyes when they do the best they can. They pay their taxes. They want their children to be better than them. They want their children to have more access to economic opportunity than they did. And what's taken me aback is that you have so many individuals, so many residents living in the city that day in and day out do their jobs, but then the city's failing them. And it
Mm,
could be from the lack of services, the lack of empathy, the
yeah,
misunderstanding, and you hear the stories of these families when I go door to door every day, and we've been doing so for months. And when you have these deep conversations, when you're really trying to figure out, like, I'm not here just to ask you to vote for me. I want to understand your concerns. So then the solutions I'm trying to bring to the table will be impactful, will be meaningful, and most importantly, will provide you with a level of respect. That doesn't mean that I'm only going to get you what you want, but if I at least I try my very best to solve your issues, and
yeah,
people will appreciate that. I'm not here to give empty promises. And what's been really a big eye opener is to see the level of suffering that's happening in our city, the level of decay, the almost hopelessness that you hear from individuals and taxpayers and residents when they're talking about that government is no longer there for them anymore.
Mm.
You would think that we've had decades to learn how to make government better, and what's been happening is that not only structurally but literally almost emotionally that the city itself has disregarded tens of thousands of individuals that lived here. I
Yeah.
remember a conversation with a senior citizen that I had living around the 24th East 24th area, and this individual spoke to me directly and said, we've had multiple individuals come here ask us to vote for them. And we always have hope that maybe this will be the time that things will change. And they went on and had a deeper story about how the fact that they've busted their butt to buy this house,
Yeah.
and after 40, 50 years of investing, doing the right thing, paying their taxes on time, they're being priced out. They live on a fixed income. They're not able to afford the tax increases, the fee increases, along with all the things that the city can't control: groceries, gas prices, electric, gas, this and that. And they're saying that, where is government supposed to back me up? When are they supposed to give me relief so I can try to survive and live here? And
Yeah.
it's not an isolated story. It's a story that we've heard numerous times when we're walking. And again, where are our government officials? Where are our elected officials to make sure that we make the playing field level? And right now, when you talk to individuals, it feels as if that there's no reason for them to even try to do anything in the city. That everyone's looking at an opportunity to see, how can we live out or move out, or is there another way where we have a roommate come to our house, or maybe we can figure out to downsize our living requirements. And it tells you, it's a sad sign that you've had senior citizens that have lived here for decades, that have busted their butts and did everything they could, and now they're being told that, I'm sorry, we're not concerned about you, we're going to try to increase the prices, and you have to figure it out. And I think that's been some of the most egregious things I've seen so far during this campaign.
Man, Gilman, this is good, right? And this is going to kind of lead us in to just our next question, and that is, what is your plan to address um, a city budget that many feel is mismanaged or lacks transparency?
Very good question. And that's actually one of the biggest questions I get when I'm walking around as well. And as I'm explaining it to the constituents, what we're trying to do. So, right now, right, either it's intentional or unintentional. We have elected officials in government that are not managing the governmental budget properly. We have expenditures that are going out of hand. We have some programs that should have been sunsetted but are not being done so. And the credit card is continually being run up over and over again. And we're asking the taxpayer to cover it. So the solutions that I'm trying to bring to the table is this: that we need to have a transparent budget form. We need to make it a requirement, either a town hall, or if it has to be virtual, whatever platform we use, and we have to explain where every dollar, every penny goes. The county, Passaic County, does a really excellent job explaining this by doing a very easy PowerPoint, easy to read PowerPoint presentation explaining where every dollar goes from the county.
Yeah.
And we can have questions here and there, as like, can that be used better? But in the city of Patterson, when you ask individuals how much money goes into this, they're like, well, I don't even know. My tax bill doesn't explain to me where my tax money goes. All I know is that
Yeah.
I'm getting these increases year to year. And I think what needs to happen is that, we've seen the news where the city has to borrow $70 million. And the conversation was that, well, this is because we haven't received our money on time from the state. Well, my thing would be is that any corporation, any company, or any small level mom and pop store knows you don't spend more than you have. You have to predict or determine yourself to say, that we might have a bad season coming up, so we better tighten the belt to make sure that we're financially solvent. And if you've noticed in the news as well, the government spent $4.5 to $5 million over their budget. And then the
Hmm.
individuals that we have that are quote unquote supposed to be over the fiscal committee had no idea this was happening. So then it brings the question: do we really have individuals that are going to be there to look at the budget, that have the background? Just in
Mm.
case, just because I have an MBA doesn't mean that I'm an financial expert. But I do believe that I have at least a reasonable level of common sense to understand that, hey, 2 plus 2 doesn't make sense. It's not equaling up to 4. And
Right.
when it comes down to budgeting, when it comes down to items, we need to do budgetary offsets. If you want something, you have to give something up. I go back to this: when a family is going to the grocery store and they see that a particular product is costing more money, what they're going to do is say, let me take a substitute, or let me just, take a delay in buying it until next time. Municipal government is not doing that. They're just running it up, saying that the taxpayer will take care of it. And we've seen on the news that
Yeah.
we're robbing the receipt.
Um. Let's stay on this topic a little bit, right? Yeah. Were you finished? I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. While we're on this topic, you just mentioned the borrowing. Another hot topic when it comes to budgeting, or when it comes to, the financial impact of our city, has been the tax breaks for the developers. Have we gone too far, and where would you draw the line?
Very good question. So when it comes down to pilots or tax abatements, right? I tell people that it's not a dirty phrase, it's not a dirty word. It's used as an economic tool to benefit cities if it's used correctly. If you
Right.
wanted to create a factory that was going to hire Patterson residents, you should be eligible for a reasonable tax credit, a tax benefit, or an abatement. If you're building a dialysis center, a daycare, a housing project that's going to focus purely on our aging population, our veteran population, and our disabled population, those are the things where we should be opening our arms to say, yes, let's negotiate where we can give an appropriate tax abatement. But right now, what's happening currently is that we have some developers that are not responsible, that are not focusing on the fact that how can I help the city and help myself. They're looking at it purely as like it's a centralist game that I just want to take care of myself. It is unconscionable and unmoral
Mm.
for individuals to come here and say, I need a 30, 60, 90-year tax abatement, but I am going to be charging full level rents. I'm not providing anything back to the community. And again, I don't want to spread a wide brush over everyone, right? I do see tons of developers that are doing the right thing, that they respect the community they're entering. But then I see a lot of developers that are saying, you know what, the community, my goal is to make as much money as I can off of the backs of all these families. And what is the domino effect? When we allow these tax abatements to happen unreviewed, really, it's not being reviewed properly. It's either being done by the council or the municipal government executive leader. We lose out on money to pay for schools. We lose out on our ability to cover libraries, which I'm not sure if anybody knows are being reduced incredibly in terms of their operational hours. We
Yep.
lose out on money for funding. And then the other structural issue is that is our sewer system, our water system, our police and fire, the infrastructure that we have in the city of Patterson, are they going to be able to handle these massive apartment buildings that are coming in, the influx of individuals? The strain on the school district is what's causing the budget to go up. The strain on our civil services here is the reason why we have longer wait times. We have all these situations occurring. Tax abatements were designed, again, to focus on economic productivity and development. If you're going to bring me jobs, you're going to handle a housing issue, you're going to handle this. But they're being given away as candy for favors, for political reasons or whatnot, by individuals that have a sense that, well, you know what, at the end of the day, my goal is my upward trajectory in politics. It's not about the people. I have to do whatever I can to get as much favors. And this goes back to the fact that if we don't have proper safeguards in, where we're really looking at the way tax abatements are being used, why is it that we can't do what Newark, Jersey City, and Hoboken are doing with their tax abatements, which is we're building schools, they're building rec centers, they're building trade schools, they're building restaurant areas where mom and pop businesses from the town get first priority to enter these little strip malls. We're not doing that. Our thing has been stacking and packing. Our thing has been, let's already focus on the fact that the city of Patterson is the second most densely populated city on the East Coast, next to New York City. And you would think that, okay, well, is the city management being done? But it's not.
Oh, wait. We're the second largest on the East Coast,
Densely,
in terms of being densely populated.
within the 8 square miles that we have here in the city, we are incredibly densely populated. Now, I know the census may say 157,000 people, but we know that
But we know.
when 42% of the individuals did not respond back, or household did not respond back to the census, the real, even at the most conservative level, we're talking about potentially 210,000 people living in this city. So think about it: 210,000 people living in an 8 square mile radius, where we just had that massive fire that happened, and that showcases that we have apartment buildings that have attics and basements. We have people that are squeezing in certain areas. It's putting the lives of our firefighters, our police officers, including the individuals that live around that area, because we're concentrating as much as we can a population into small little blocks of 14-story high buildings. The city can't handle that. And tax abatements is not a financial, it's not just a financial cost. There's also a moral cost to this. That are we using these things correctly? And right now we're not.
Yeah, Gilman. So it sounds like, one of the questions that, I was going to ask was, you know, would you prioritize new development or fixing the existing infrastructure? It sounds like
Mhm.
you're suggesting fixing the existing infrastructure.
So it needs to work in tandem. So my goal would be, and again, as a legislator, I'm very limited in terms of what execution we can do. The executive
Yeah.
branch, whoever the mayor might be, the current mayor or a new mayor that's running, my goal would be to work with the administration to say, listen, let's look at the master plan that the city does every 10 years and let's actually follow it. It
Yeah.
shows that you need to have mixed housing, townhouses with front yards and backyards. You need to have small level apartments that have storefronts on the bottom. You need to have single family homes, multifamily homes. You need to give options for people to live here. You need to build teacher villages, city employee villages, so we can retain the talent that comes here. When we have nearly, and this is
That's
just
it.
a rough estimate, over $1 billion of salaries that leave the city of Patterson. $1 billion of salaries from the county, the school district, and the city, and including all the nonprofits that reside here in the city of Patterson, the large institutional ones. If 1 billion salaries stayed in Patterson, that means that they will provide economic opportunity for my mom and pop businesses. They will provide more of a tax base. So the tax levy doesn't need to even, the tax rate doesn't need to go high because the tax levy has an influx of rateables coming in. That conversation is not happening. Newark, Jersey City built a city employee village, a teacher village, because they knew that if I can give you a discount on the rate of how much you have to pay in the rent and you live here in the city, the probability that you'll spend your salary in the city is high. But we're not having those level of conversations. And when it comes down to looking at our overall issue, we need to tackle the problem tenfold on every level. Because again, I go back that nothing is disconnected here in Patterson. When you try to solve one issue, it's connected to another thing. So when you're trying to
Mm,
tackle the drug addiction issues that we've had in the city, it's connected to the housing and homeless issue. When you're trying to tackle that, there's an employment issue. So you need to come up with a full spectrum plan to fix these things. And I'll be the first one to say, these will not be able to be fixed overnight. But if we do not do the hard work now, our children will not want to stay here. The babies that are being born in St. Joseph Hospital right now in the NICU, they're hoping that if my parents or whatever, if my family is not there, the city will take care of me. But when those children grow up, we're giving them false promises that the city will provide for them, and it won't. But we have to do the hard thing now, which is you look at everything that we have, you look at the tax abatements, you look at what economic development is happening, and is there a focus on the people living here first? That's the requirement. Will this bring more jobs, housing?
yeah.
Will this help families that have a new baby born and say, you know what, we can buy a townhouse here, we can buy a single family house? But right now, those options are few and far between. The housing stock is low, and the focus on municipal government doesn't seem to be how can we make sure families stay here. It's about how can we get more people to come here, and then how can we get more buildings coming up? Because if it looks aesthetically nice, that's all we need. But that's just one part of the game.
That's just one part of the game. Man, you are definitely enlightening us and sharing some, really critical thoughts tonight that I think, that many of us need to consider when we're thinking about our city. Every issue is connected to something else. Um, the progressive thought of not how do we bring more in, how do we retain? Like we have a lot of talented, gifted people. Man, I'm from the church, right? So I was about to say anointed. We have some talented and gifted people in our city, who end up leaving the city.
Yeah.
Who end up leaving the city. Like it's hard for us to keep them here. I mean, so even mentioning, employment villages, teacher villages. I mean, those things are, paramount to creating strong and healthy communities and schools,
Mm-hmm.
where we really know each other. That's something that I believe is important for a city to have. One of the questions I do want to, because you do a lot of volunteer work. A lot of people don't know, but you do a lot of volunteer work. Um, but the role that you're looking for, requires managing, policy, influencing multi-million dollar budgets. And I know you just spoke to some, parts of that. But I want to kind of dig into, like, just your background a little bit, and just talk about the experience that you may have in making those, or making high stake financial decisions, that, and how does that prepare you for, this particular role that you are looking to obtain in our city's leadership.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the issues that are happening in the city of Patterson are going to require individuals of experience, of knowledge, but most importantly, of compassion. And, volunteering for the numerous organizations, I can name you from Mature Sisters, NJCDC, all these organizations. And I purposely not only go, I also bring my students that I mentor. And it's important for them as well to understand that no matter how difficult your life is, someone else is having it harder. That no matter what difficulties you're going through, someone is not able to sleep on a soft bed, that they're going to be sleeping outside, or they're going to have hunger in their bellies. And I take this not just as a civil responsibility, but it's a religious responsibility, that we cannot stand by while our neighbors are hungry. That we
Hmm.
have to try to make it better for them. That if someone in our community is hungry, homeless, is going through mental health difficulties, and that means all of us are. We have to feel that pain. And we could do as much as we can through community service, and I really believe that. But the institutions that are here in the city of Patterson need to work together. So, I always say that there's three legs to a stool: government, private, and nonprofit. And it includes our religious organizations through within the nonprofit realm. We all have to work together to solve this. I have, a little bit of experience becoming a councilman. About 5 years ago, there was a tie between two candidates for the second ward. And when that happened, the council asked me, "Hey, do you mind covering for 6 months? Once that happens, and you can kind of, when the election happens, and you can go back to what you were doing." So I kind of was a little hesitant in the beginning, because I from the outside, I kind of looked at municipal government. I said, local government is so broken. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I can really pour myself as much as I can into the cup of individuals that are in need. So from that, being on the fiscal committee, the economic development committee, I really got an opportunity to see how the gears and nuts and bolts of the city work. From that experience, I
Good.
saw that at the end of the day, it all goes back to the basics of our, bread, milk, and eggs. When you're making a budget at your household, you're making sure that you put a little way in savings, that you're doing things to make sure that can give you net growth, which is either invest in your family, invest in your house. And seeing that city government wasn't really functioning like that really made me say, where's the disconnect? That we have homeless people, we have families that are literally struggling or sleeping in their cars, and yet we're having arguments and debates in city government about who gets to name a street first. And I took that we're really just focusing on rearranging the chairs of the Titanic instead of looking at the root causes that are affecting our city. We're not humanizing the budget. So for me, when I got my MBA, I focused on municipal finance. I really wanted to make sure I understood it from that
Mm.
perspective as well. So understanding how deficits work, understanding budgetary offsets, without naming anyone, I was quite surprised while in my short time being counsel, there was a lot of individuals that had no idea how refinancing works, which puzzled me. It's okay if this was a small municipality of 2,000-3,000 people, but when you're serving a population of nearly 250,000 with over $250 million budget, with all the problems and difficulties of large cities without the resources, you really need to have elected officials that understand that. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we know it's a popularity contest. Socrates, the famous philosopher, said it best that when you give an individual the decision between the medicine man and candy man, they will always vote for the candy man because they want to hear sweet words. They want to say, we like this better, everything's fine. But the reality is, being an adult, being a mature individual means that you have to do the hard thing, which you have to
Yeah.
accept medicine from the medicine man. And again, I looked through all my experiences of over 18 years volunteering for various organizations. One of the frustrating things, and I'll be very transparent here, is that there is a park. I'm not going to name the park. I've cleaned it over 18 years, maybe about 15 to 18 times for different organizations. And yet within a week, we see the drug needles back, we see the trash back, and all the different organizations have had different strategies: direct cleanup impact, social media campaign, education. And I tell
Yeah,
myself, I could only clean this park so many times before I kind of say, like, I think government needs to step in here. The people are doing their best, but I understand it's also our own residents sometimes that are causing the issues. But until that gets fixed, government has to come in and say, we're going to take care of it. We're going to push you through. I give an example of the country Japan. Right after World War II, right now we have this notion that Japan is a very clean society, that they have the very low tolerance for dirtiness. They have everybody cleaning. That wasn't how it was in the 50s and 60s. They had to have a massive education campaign, but they paired it with a massive enforcement campaign, and they slowly
yeah,
changed the culture. And that's what we need to do in the city of Patterson. You drive 1 mile up in any direction around Patterson, it's a totally different world. But so there needs to be the education process to change our inherent culture, but also there needs to be an understanding that government's going to go down hard. Hey, I'm sorry, you can't illegally dump in front of this park. Hey, you can't go behind your house and then have a trash pile. Hey, you can't do this. We have cameras watching. We have roving patrols. When people see that the enforcement is high, then the broken window theory, then they'll start saying, okay, we have to do a little better job on our end to make sure we keep our front clean. So it takes
yeah.
time, it takes a process, but that's the thing that frustrates me, that I could only clean up a park so many times before I start questioning, like, is this meaningless, is this fruitless? But we have to keep on trying.
Because if you continue to clean, they definitely won't see the need for them to clean.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Gilman, great, great, great information tonight. Thank you for sharing. Just your vision and how you see the bigger picture. Now, you mentioned something about enforcement,
Mhm.
and you mentioned something about how the city needs to manage things a certain way. A lot of times, and you also mentioned popularity contests, right? So this question kind of touches those three areas. And I know in government sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions, and especially if you start talking about the budget where money is being allocated, where it needs to be reallocated or be redirected. And then sometimes our citizens don't see the bigger picture, because for many of them they're in survival mode. So it's for them, what's priority is what they're experiencing or what they're going through, right? But my question tonight, in this area, is: are you prepared to make an unpopular decision that may cost you a little political support, um, but the decision is truly in the best interest of the city? And if you have an example of that, like, we would definitely love to hear that story and the process of what you experienced.
Yeah. So here's how I'll start off. All of us will die, all of us will pass away, and we'll go on to the next life. And when I pass away, and when I see God and I ask, and God tells me, you tried to be a good person, do you think that was enough? And I can't beg and tell God, like, I tried to do the right thing, but I couldn't because it wasn't popular. That's going to be my judgment in the end. It is hard to do the right decision. I understand that. But the point of having integrity, of honor, the things that I learned in the army, the to be able to sacrifice and to work hard, those are the things I learned here living in the city. And talking to individuals and seeing that they have done as much as they could to live a good life and to be right and be respectful and dignified, it's only a little of me to ask, to say, hey, we have to do the right thing over what's popular. Part of the reason I'm running is that government has ballooned and becomes too chaotic. I'm proposing, and this is part of it, I am proposing term limits for government. You should only be mayor and council member twice. If it's good for the president, good for the governor, it needs to happen here, and it will stop individuals from potentially ever feeling like, I only have to take care of my base. I don't have to really do the right thing, or even allow themselves to be corrupted. I hope I will stay honest and have my integrity, but maybe someday I might be corrupted. The government and our system of government, it wasn't meant for career politicians. It was meant for individuals to step up, do what they could to do right, and then give someone else a turn. And hopefully, I've done as much as I could in those two terms that when someone else comes behind me, it'll be easier for them to do the next step. We
Yeah,
don't have a situation in government right now when you have individuals that have been there for 12, 16, 20, 24 years. It makes you question, has things moved along? And there are great civil servants, even here in the city of Patterson, throughout the country, that I'm happy that they've been here long enough. But to ensure that democracy, to ensure that bright ideas, and ensure the next generation has an opportunity, we need to do term limits. It needs to happen. And I'll be the first one to say,
yeah,
if I can't get stuff done in 2 terms, let someone else have it. Because my goal isn't to go to government and say, I got to be the good guy. I got to get along. I got to make sure everybody likes me. If that's the point, then your goal must be to be a politician forever. But if your goal is, how can I make the city that I live in, where my children are being raised, better? And how can I make sure my neighbors, who I know or may not know, have a better life, even if they don't know my name? Can I make their lives better? Then this is the sacrifice I have to make. It's a burden. And,
yeah,
it's a burden a lot of people may not want to do. But all my life, I've been through struggles and difficulties and hardships. All my life, I've seen suffering and pain. It is something that, my wife tells me once in a while. She says, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to sacrifice here? Do you really want to do that? Like, look at the
yeah,
toll it's taking. But I'm like, better me than someone else. My goal
yeah,
isn't to hold power forever. My goal is to do the right thing. And there will be opportune times. I know there will, as it was when I was a councilman prior for 6 months, where people were pressuring and saying, don't vote for this, don't vote for that, where I've had a host of individuals say, Gilman, this is a bad decision. But what I will say, and I'm proud to say it, that I never made decisions in a vacuum, that I would ask individuals that I felt were smarter than me and better than me, more experienced than me, because I'm not,
yeah,
I say this, like, if I'm being surrounded by individuals that are not as intelligent as I am, I'm in the wrong room. They need to be better than me, because the decisions I want to make, that I trust their judgment and reason. And there are individuals that maybe I voted differently, that they didn't want, but I gave them the respect that I need to listen to your opinion. And then based on everybody's conversation, of like a brain trust that I have, based on everybody that I speak to, what would be the right decision going forward? Sometimes there were
yeah,
decisions that, quote unquote, wasn't incredibly popular either, but needed to happen, because even if there was a benefit from it, from a quarter percentage of benefit, it was a benefit better than having nothing. And those are the tough decisions that I need to make. And that's what the public expects. The public is expecting that you won't be the medicine man. You won't just be the candy man. We have too many individuals right now that are saying, I'm going to get you a job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to repaint Patterson. But the honest truth is, if you're a taxpayer, if you're a resident, if you're sick, you're going to go to a doctor. If you need your taxes done, you're going to go to an accountant. If you want your government run effectively, go to an individual that has the credentials, the rationale, and the common sense to make sure it gets done, and someone that is not coveting power. The coveting of power has destroyed dozens upon hundreds upon thousands of people living here. And we need individuals that are going to be focused squarely on doing the right thing for the people. So I'm ready to be the person that they throw stones at or they're angered at. Because at the end of the day, my goal isn't to say, how can I keep myself in power? It's how can I empower people around me so they will
yeah.
take it back after I'm done.
Man, great question. So, speaking truth to power, making unpopular decisions, calling out things that need to be called out, but someone may not want you to call them out. Uh, how do you distinguish the difference between strong leadership and counterproductive confrontation?
Well, I've been part of numerous nonprofit boards, community groups, even within the school district. Not everybody's meant to be a manager. Not everyone's meant to be a people person. I've seen that directly. But I've had the benefit of being raised by individuals that really had a talent when it comes down to making sure that, hey, when we make decisions, we do it as a team, we discuss things, and then we go forward. It doesn't matter who brought up the right answer, it's about getting to the right answer. And
Yeah,
what we've seen in the city of Patterson is that there is a level of fear. Some of the individuals I spoke to said, I can't publicly support you, Gilman, because I'm afraid what might happen, my consequences. And I say to them, I was like, wait a minute, if you're living in fear that you cannot express your democratically invoked law to be able to talk to people and say, this is who I'm supporting, what kind of city are we living in? And
Yeah.
if you have a leadership that is run by fear or a leadership that is run by love, and we know the old Machiavelli quote, like, is it better to be feared than loved? And it goes on and says, as long as you're not hated. My love, my expectation of leadership trained me from the Army, working in the public school district, going through my MBA courses where our professors like, this is what we're going to teach you in the textbook. But if you're not a servant leader, if you're not thinking about the people around you and how to make them better than you, and you train them to take your jobs, that's what you have to do. That's the sacrifice you need to make. And that's not happening in the city of Patterson because we have individuals that will take constructive criticism and then view it as a direct attack. When in reality, it's like, how can we get there together? And I have this big belief that if I have something wrong, I disagree with you, I privately go to you and say, hey, listen, I don't think this is a great decision. When I was councilman, when I'm in a position of power, I would always have individuals say, listen, don't call me councilman, call me Gilman. First time you got to call me Gilman. Tell me why you think this is right. Tell me why you think it's wrong. And I need your honest opinion. But a lot of individuals are afraid to express that. And I think that's what's wrong with the city of Patterson again, is that because of my friendships or because of my fear, I don't want to do the right answer. But then who are you beholden to? Are you beholden to temporary positions that when we pass away will no longer be here? Or are we beholden to our morals, our ethics, our religious commitments, or our families? And I think that's more important. That is far more important. If I wanted power for the rest of my life, it would be easy because I would say I'm only going to tell people what they want to hear. But I know the truth is that, sweet water tastes better when you keep on giving it to people. But the reality is you need bitter medicine to be better forever. And that old adage where, if you feed a person today, they won't be hungry today. But if you teach them to fish, they won't be hungry forever. Well, I tell people we got to do both. I will feed you now and take care of you now. Yeah. And at the same token, we will make sure that you will be sustainable. And I remember we did a food drive. I think this is right after COVID, we did a food drive. And I had a family come up to me and they said, thank you. What can we do to reply? They're a very wonderful family. And I said, do me this. Do whatever you can to benefit yourself. So then in 5 years from now, you will come back and help me. You will donate to our cause. Because then that means you no longer need anything from us, that we were able to build you that foundation to be strong. And I put that as story to what the city of Patterson should be doing. We need to make sure anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, anybody wants to live a good family life, we do the building blocks so they have that opportunity. So they're self-sustainable and they're empowered, they're taken care of. And that's how you fix the poverty, the drug issue, the violence. But it's not happening because the leadership that we currently have is led by fear, or it's led by indifference, or it's led by individuals saying that I'm looking for my next position.
This is good. Gilman, man, you said so much tonight. You hit on a lot of points. Man, and there's been some people in the comment section that's been shouting you out, man. Shout out to Henry Addison, who says he loves your plan, loves your vision, all the best to you. We got Eric McKenzie saying hello from South Carolina. I guess he'll be back to cast his vote. We got one of the parent advocates from School 6, Diane Savage. I see Sharif is on tonight. Well, Henry, as the Reverend, I can't repeat that, but I'll put it on the screen. Gilman, if you see Henry, he says you hit a lot of good points. Gilman, you should definitely begin to have community forums and engage the younger voters as well as the older.
Absolutely. And that's with this campaign, I'm really blessed to have. I'm surrounded by individuals that are far more intelligent than me and talented, and they're helping me make sure that we connect with as many individuals as possible. Again, this campaign isn't about me; it's about all of us. I really want to make sure that by the time my term is over, if I get blessed and get a second term, that within the 2 terms, I can say the body of work that we've done to make the city better. And then you give someone else a chance. It could be anyone that's watching this show right now that say, you know what, I really want to involve myself in politics to make a difference. Then so be it. If after my 2 terms, I could be a horrible councilman or a good councilman, it's your turn to try to do better. And hopefully I'm praying that I do a good job, that when I'm done, people may not know my name, They may not know exactly what I did, but they're able to go to a clean park. They're able to have access to economic freedom, to get a job, to get housing, that they're able to raise their families with respect and dignity, that when they call the police department, they're able to get a response time quickly, that when
Ha.
they go and build their jobs and build a business here in the city of Patterson, they can say that, somebody in government, we don't know who, was able to make it easier for us. And then when my children grow up, they'll say that, you know what, like, what can we do to continue making Patterson moving forward? And that's all I'm hoping. I'm not the most talented person. I tell people, yeah, I may have a couple degrees here and there, but the person I am today is because of the experiences I lived here in Patterson. And I know that
Yeah.
there are so many good-hearted people here in the city that want change, and I'm hoping that they can allow me to be their voice for that change. And again, criticize me, tell me what I did wrong. This seat is not, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people, and as it should be. The people must be taken care of first, and that's my focus.
Yeah. Gilman, you should do something to educate people on the process of voting once they get to the polls, or the issues with their mail-in ballots and provisionals.
Very good. Yeah, Mr. Willie Peterkin. Yeah, we actually have a dual when we have canvassers going out. So whenever I'm with them, we do phone banking. We tell individuals, if you have a mail-in ballot, vote, please go ahead. The county has a video. The city has a video. We tell them like what you can do to fill out. And we've been also telling them, do not let anybody take your mail-in ballots. Do not let anybody come to your house and use sweet words to say, hey, give me to me, I'll take care of you. It is illegal. It is a federal crime that those ballots should be filled out by you and submitted. And you have three choices for council at large. I'm not advocating that you should only vote for me. Whoever you feel would meet the end, because we need a team of individuals there in the city of Patterson. Whoever you feel like that would really meet what your expectation, what your better interest is, vote for them. But again, for here, I'm here to advocate for myself for 16B. Give me a shot, give me a chance. I've lived my life serving the public and serving the community, and I think that's where the main startup focus should be. And then from serving your community, what credentials and what experiences do you have to be effective? And I believe I meet all the boxes. Again, in the Army, the one thing I was taught that I really remember a great deal was that regardless of who we are, where we came from, who our mothers were, whatnot, we're all unified for a singular vision to make things work. And that's what I believe in the city of Patterson, being highly diverse, highly multicultural, multi-language. But no matter where we're from, we all have to make the city of Patterson work. And I think that's the driving cause that we need to do.
Yeah. Henry Addison says, look for the young man that grew up in Patterson. I lost my brother in these streets and friends as well. Crime is my number one issue, and programs for the youth is another one.
Very, very good. And to answer Mr. Henry's question, this is what I would say. Part of my platform is that I think we've all heard the same promises. We're going to build a rec center. We're going to build a rec center. We're going to build a rec center. Newark has 3 to 5 rec centers. Jersey City has 2. How is it the city of Patterson, where we have so much youth, so many children not able to do anything, not have an outlay for them to play soccer, basketball, badminton, taxidermy, whatever it is? We don't have that venue. We're relying on nonprofits and churches, which is great. But the churches and nonprofits should be able to say we have a niche area where we're covering gaps. The city of Patterson should be saying, okay, we're going to make sure that we're going to have youth intervention programs. I applaud all the organizations and groups that focus on youth. I've been mentoring youth for over 18 years, and it's the same thing. Idle hands are devil's playground. If their family circle is not quote unquote focused on developing children, then the community has to be. I remember school 13, we had the PEP 21 club, and we had the PEP 21 club, and we played basketball, and then we played, we had video games. It was only 2 hours a day, but that was the most quote unquote dangerous time frame in the city of Patterson, between the hours of 3 to 6 or 3 to 7, when kids don't have an outlay, when they don't have a place to do stuff. You keep children involved. You give them whatever they want. If a child comes to us and says, hey, I want to do knitting, we got to figure it out. That's what I say. We got to figure it out. The more youth we can keep off the streets and develop them, the better it is. We have a lot of athletic teams here. And I told this to someone. I don't know if it's going to be popular, so please don't attack me. But I would care less. In all honesty, I don't care if any of our youth athletic teams lose every game. What I care about is that as long as they stay under that coach's purview, as long as those children have practice, as long as those children are being mentored by adults, by club moms, that's more important for me. The character ed that Catholic schools do, that they'll teach you ABCs, but they're going to teach you to be a good Catholic. The character ed that those coaches do, where they say, kids, you got to keep your grades up, no fighting, no arguments, you're going to de-escalate, that's beautiful. So even if we
Yeah.
had a sports team that was losing I love sports. I wouldn't want them to lose every game, but I wouldn't care. I would say, you know what? At least they're under your tutelage. At least they're being taken care of by you. But we have so many children here in the city of Patterson that don't have that, either because of the cost or because of the access. So if you
Yeah.
build a rec center, right? We don't have to have a fancy rec center, but if you build a rec center and you pack it with nonprofits, organizations, churches, and say, hey, please, can you run an art program? Can you do this? We'll take care of everything else. You won't believe how
Yeah.
many children, like the YMCA did a couple of videos, 5 years ago, and they talked about all these kids. It says, my brother was killed in the streets. My mom died of cancer. If it wasn't for the YMCA that gave me that courage to keep on pushing through, I wouldn't be a doctor. I mean, it was beautiful to see that when
Yeah.
family situations either intentionally or unintentionally happen, the community says, you're not alone, young man or young lady. We're going to take care of you. And that's the thing. Like I remember talking to someone that lived in the presidential towers, and they told me back then, yeah, it was difficult, life was hard, but the community was there to make sure, hey, young man, don't do this, don't do that, and that's important. I think it's incredibly important for us to make sure that we provide stuff for the youth to get them out. The government spends X amount of dollars. It costs more than going to Harvard to imprison people, but we're not willing to spend a fraction of that to empower you. That's where the equation is off. And city government has to do a better job. I would rather spend millions of dollars to make sure, Rayshawn, Bobby, Tiffany, whatever it is, they get the services they need when they're children, rather than spending a penny on putting them in jail. I don't want to do that. I want to do it now and give them the services so they can be leaders.
Yeah. So this is the last question from the chat, and then I'm gonna allow Gilman to just close us out with just 2 minutes of support for his candidacy. So this next question again from Henry Adamson. Also, Patterson people want to get ski masks banned in the city. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I know it's a controversial issue. Some individuals I spoke to say that, oh, it's a attack on my First Amendment rights. It's attack on this and that. The reality is that we have a lot of individuals that are suffering through a mental health trauma. That's what the crime presently. It's not done because someone wakes up and says, I'm going to commit crime. It happens because we have a detrimental effect with our mental health, with our fiscal ability. Individuals that are being pushed to the most farthest corners of society, that are committing crime not because they want to, but sometimes that's all they know or that's what they have to do. Now, for the ski mask issue, I agree. At this point in time, if we want to revisit it later on and say we don't need to do it, that's fine. But the immediate thing is we have to stop the bleeding. Ski masks are being used. They're being used by youth, adults, whatnot, to commit crimes. So if we come up, like I'm even forward to the idea of potentially a curfew. But again, it shouldn't come from me saying I want to do it. I want to make sure that I listen to the community. I've heard both for it and against it. I'm leaning towards it because I believe this is the first thing we can do to stop the bleeding. And then we have to figure out how can we turn this around and help these children? How can we make sure we build rec centers, trade schools, economic opportunity? There's a individual that said prior that when they deindustrialized Patterson, they took out the trade school, took out the factories, took out businesses. That's when all the crime levels started increasing because individuals couldn't raise their families or take care of themselves. And the cycle of poverty has damaged generations of children. I think about all those kids when I grew up in the school district and now working in the school district. How many doctors, lawyers, plumbers, how many teachers, how many pastors did we lose because we made the wrong decision or we didn't invest in them? And I think about that. And I think about the societal cost because we're not treating the mental health trauma that is crime. We're not treating the root cause of these issues. And we're allowing these children to run havoc because they have no mentorship. They're not part of a club, a sport team, or program. So when it comes down to the questions of masks, I know it is highly controversial, right? I've had individuals say that I'm going against First Amendment rights freedom. But what I would say is this, that until we stop the bleeding, as long other towns have done it, other municipalities are doing the ski mask ban for now until we're able to figure out this properly. We need to do the ban. We need to engage. We need to legislate certain laws to make it safer for our kids until we can make the community open again. And I think, there's always a balance between the individual freedoms and the securities of the city. We have to make sure that within the law, within case history and what is already precedent, we need to be able to do things that are going to benefit everyone. And right now, to Mr. Henry's point, I would agree to do a ski mask ban because I always say babies. I know they could be 15, 16-year-olds, but they were babies. They were our children. They were a third grader at one point. And I remember talking to my boss that third grade is when the differential happens between their testing grades, their behavior, and everything. That third grader wanted to be a doctor. And what happened? What did we do wrong? It's easy for us to blame the parents. It's easy for us to blame the kid. But that third grader, when you look at when they're painting and they're drawing, they're talking about, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an explorer. I want to be the president. And then either the youth fades away, how idyllic the world was, and they look at the reality and they look around their surroundings and they say, like, this is all I have. That I have to be hard, quote unquote. I had a choice. And I would say this. Living in the Fourth Ward, living here in Patterson, there was lots of choices for me to do wrong. But I was really fortunate that I had really strong parents that would tell me, please don't shame us. Don't do anything that's going to look bad. But there's tons of children that may not have that. And there's tons of children I know that have two parents, but they're working 2-3 jobs each just to be able to survive. And so it's almost occupational orphancy. Like I'm working, I can't be here because I got to make sure the roof is you have a roof over your head. You have food on the table. And what did we as a community or society do? We tell people, nope, we're going to do this. You're going to it's up to you. You have to figure it out. That's not the way society works. That's not the way community. And Mr. Peterkin's point, you're right. Like I know there's a lot of politicians that are going to say, I don't want to offend anybody. I would rather give you who I am, my honest opinion. I am more than willing to relook at the situation. Like we need that proposal. We need that to be legislated. And then we can take a look at has crime reduced. But not until we have our rec center. We have more kids involved in anti-violence initiatives. We have children that are going directly to college, trade schools, or businesses. When that happens, then you release some of the restrictions. And other politicians say, I don't want to do it. It's going to look bad, this and that. But again, I'm not here to become a career politician. My goal is to go in, fix as much as I can. And if you give me an opportunity to do a second term, then that's it. After the second term limits, I'm done. Give someone else a chance. It might be Mr. Peterkin or Mr. Henry. So hopefully I can make it as good as I can for you.
Yeah.
My aim is like to make government better. So when you come in, you can just continue building forward.
For sure. Gilman, I greatly appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. I know they have you on a tight schedule and so many things are happening in the community, but just for the next 2 minutes, the floor is yours to share your heart, your plan, whatever we have not discussed tonight. It's your moment.
Thank you, sir. And so let me first say I appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk to your audience and to talk to the greater members of Patterson that live here, reside here, and vote here. What I want to say is this. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a community servant. I've sacrificed a lot to be who I am today. And I always tell everybody that I never want to live a life where I shame my dad and mom who are, have passed away. And my focus has always been to help as many people as possible, to do what I can to make it a little better, to reduce the suffering. Our taxes are too much. Our fees are too high. Our resources are limited. And it's another generation that's being forgotten. My emphasis, my platform has been to focus from the cradle all the way to our senior citizens, that we need to do better as a city of Patterson. We need to do more for you. My name is Gilman Choudhury. I'm 16B on the ballot. You have 3 choices that you can make for the election. I'm asking for one. And what I can say is this, that I will fight for you as hard as I can. I fight for you the way I have to fight for my children, for my parents, for my community. Because at the end of the day, all of us are here together living in the city, and we all need to be part of the solution. So I thank you. And remember, I'm not a person that's being anointed as king. I'm your worker. I'm your representative. Criticize me, tell me how I can do better, because that's the only way we're going to get there together. So thank you.
Gilman, Appreciate you, everyone. Thank you for logging in. Do me a favor. You can still tag. You can still share even after we are not live. Facebook will have this conversation up for the next 30 days. If you, yeah, we'll still be. This is the 7th. Yeah. We vote on May 12th. If you are early voter like me, then it'll be that week before.
Yep.
Um, but Gilman is 16B. And I hope that he has said something tonight that, sparked your interest. You want to look into him a little more. You can definitely meet him at some of the forums that are coming up. I believe one is Monday.
Mhm.
Are you attending the housing forum? Not to put you on the spot. I know
Oh yeah,
we
yeah.
yeah, so there's a housing forum that's happening on Monday. Gilman will be there, so you'll get to see him in person, as well as there are a few organizations around the city that will be hosting forums. So please have your alerts on. I have one more candidate for that I have to post. As I mentioned, I'll be posting different candidates. Now, I'm going on record tonight, y'all. I will not be posting all 16 uh, candidates for council at large. I'm gonna be honest. I'll give you about 6 or 7. Right, we got 3 slots. I will not be posting all 16. Uh, you'll see who I'll post. Just because I'm posting does not mean that I'm endorsing. I'm trying to get dialogue. As Gilman said, some people vote because it's a popularity contest, but we need to do our research. We need to see who has values that really align towards us because, or align with our values. Because as a taxpayer, it's very frustrating when you need something done and can't get it done, and you're paying taxes, and you're paying people's salaries, and the services are not there, and the treatment is not there. When you call departments, the treatment over the phone or the treatment in person is not
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And you're not one that's coming with an attitude. You're coming with a legit issue that you would like resolve. You need direction, right? Like you're coming Jesus coming into Jerusalem, I come in peace. And you're getting all of this pushback, and it makes you feel some type of way because you are paying, you're paying your taxes, and therefore you should be able to expect service. That's all I'm about to say about that. But yeah, stay tuned, man. My page, we're gonna be lit over the next few weeks, still posting. We're gonna Sharif, man, hold on, bro. We're gonna be posting some candidates because I want to get some honest dialogue. Why would you vote for this candidate? What are you looking for in your candidates? What qualifications? Gilman spoke to some things tonight. What qualifications do you think your candidate should have in being able to look at a budget sheet and see where funds may need to be reallocated, or as Gilman framed it, sunset. You gotta use your words. Gotta use your words, ladies and gentlemen. But listen, love you all. Thank you all for joining in tonight, man. Gilman 16B. You have 3 opportunities or 3 options. Do your research, man. There's some amazing people that are looking to fill those seats, man. So again, love you, appreciate you all. Gilman, once again, thank you. God bless you. All the best, man, on your journey, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the trail.
Thank you. And if I can do a quick plug, please take a look
Sure.
at Gilman for Patterson, which is our Facebook page. Take a look at me, Gilman Choudhury, on Facebook as well. You can see who I am as a person, but our Gilman for Patterson Facebook page has details of our work, what our emphasis is, our plan and platform. Thank you.